So we are continuing our football discussion on the SportsMax zone. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich got their chance on the field, and Wednesday will bring together Borussia Dortmund and the travelling Paris Saint-Germain. Dortmund got the better of Atletico Madrid in their quarter-final, beating them 4-2 in the second leg for a 5-4 winning aggregate. PSG, on the other hand, defeated Barcelona 6-4 on aggregate, winning the second leg 2 weeks ago, 4-1 at the Camp Nou. Now, Brent Sancho is still with us. Brent, on the face of it, PSG would be considered favourites here, but Dortmund's performance against Atletico Madrid in the past couple of weeks should tell us that that's a German team that the Frenchmen should not underestimate.
Particularly at home as well, and we all know how well Dortmund can play at home, of course, with that yellow wall famously supporting them behind it. But there are teams that have found their groove at home. And let's be honest, PSG, if it wasn't for that red card from Araujo against Barcelona, I don't think they would have been at this phase of the competition. So they didn't play particularly well in France, and as well, they didn't start the game well against Barcelona, quite well as well away from home. So I don't think in this format of the competition, PSG has done greatly well. And I'll even go back to the group stages where I thought they were quite fortunate because, of course, of the result against Newcastle. So this is a team that could be get at, and I'm quite sure in that Dortmund dressing room, that's the kind of conversation that would be had between the players, because they would feel that out of the 4 teams that are left in this competition, or 3 teams that are left in this competition, I'm quite sure every single Dortmund player would choose to play against PSG because, as I said, they haven't really lit this competition alight, and this is a great opportunity for Dortmund to do well in front of their home fans and get a good head start going back to France.
Yeah, and 2 things. One, PSG were crowned Ligue 1 champions this past weekend off the field because they drew their game, but Monaco's failure to beat Lyon meant that PSG were confirmed as champions. How much would that do to the psyche of the team going into this important semi-final clash?
It would do well. It would be a relaxed atmosphere. It would give players a time to really focus in, and if you juxtapose that against Dortmund, who are still trying to compete to get the spots to, of course, play in Champions League next season, it would be a much more relaxed changing room. I think the focus would be on the task at hand. I think players would have gotten the kind of rest that they would want. A couple of players, of course, not suiting up over the weekend, and would get into kind of a rhythm and a groove that they would want to be in as it relates to, of course, Dortmund. So yes, there are some advantages for that. There are some advantages of the fact that at the last phase of the competition for PSG, they will have issues with, of course, suspensions and injuries. Of course, Hakimi came back, which gives them a lot more settled back four. Danilo is back. Looks like he's getting back into his rhythm, and I think him and Marquinhos has a very good relationship in the centre-back position. So I think that PSG team would be a little bit more settled with all of those things happening, added to the fact, of course, that they're already champions in France.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Brent, in the recent past, we have seen PSG with a roster that is more impressive than the one that we are seeing now, you know, with Neymar and Messi there a couple of seasons ago. But is there some merit to the view that as a team and a team structure, this PSG team has some pluses that the team with Neymar and Messi may not have had?
Well, it's simple football mathematics. You can't have 3 players doing nothing defensively, and that's what you had with PSG. And despite the fact that all 3 players could arguably go down as some of the most talented players to play the sport, what they brought on the other side of the game, it just wasn't there, and that's why PSG did not get the elusive Champions League trophy that they may have been looking for. That being said, you have to give Luis Enrique a lot of credit. What he's done, he's brought in a workman-like sort of performance for this PSG team. They look more organized, as you said, as a unit, very cohesive, very fluid in their play, and very understanding of where their strengths are, which is, of course, down the flanks with the likes of Mbappe and Dembele. And they're very comfortable. And more importantly, I think from a tournament winning perspective, they can be quite solid defensively as well, despite the fact that I do think that Donnarumma has not had a great season for them. So that all of that being said, they do seem to be assembling the pieces to be a formidable team. Do they have enough quality in their locker to go on and win the Champions League? I think that's another question.
Yeah, and you know, Brent, when I think about this, right, I think about it exactly as what it is, a game of 2 legs. how important is it that Dortmund, they get the job done at home, because we know it's going to be really difficult when they play that second leg against PSG at home?
Yeah, it is. I think we touched on it a little bit about the fact that, of course, UEFA have changed the way that the away goals rule is out, and now it's just a straight up tie.
But the crowd.
Yeah, and the crowd as well. No, playing in Dortmund is a very intimidating atmosphere. I was very fortunate to play in that stadium, and I can tell you that yellow wall stand goes up almost to the sky.
Wow.
And when you see that fully filled with yellow, it is very intimidating. But I think from a pure footballing perspective, it's really two football games, and you have to make sure that you win both games. And because of that, teams have taken a different type of approach, because no longer a team can go away from home and try to play very ultra defensive and hope to come out with a draw. I think now, the way it's presented, they have to get results in both matches. And I think because of that, that's why I may lean a little bit towards PSG. I just feel that the quality that they present, don't get me wrong, I think Dortmund is a good team, but they're a team of rhythm. They're a team of having needing that crowd behind them. They're a team that needs way too many ingredients for me to win a football game. I think PSG needs a lot less to win football matches. And I feel that if they go back to that second leg in Paris, and they're still very much in touching distance, like what happened, of course, in the reverse with Barcelona, where they were down 3-2 and they went to Barcelona and they got a result. I think they're very capable of that. So for me, Dortmund would have to blow PSG out the park if they have to have any chance of getting out of this leg, or both legs.
Yeah, and Brent, anytime we discuss players to watch, when you think about PSG, Kylian Mbappe name comes up, because whether he performs or not, he's going to be the name for player to watch. What are some of the players we should look forward to for Dortmund? Exciting ones.
I think for Dortmund, it's certainly the loanee Jadon Sancho. He's done very well since he's gone there on loan, and I think he is a certain outlet for them. Malin as well is a very talented player. Julian Brandt as well has been a driving force behind the Germans, and I think if he is clicking, the entire team clicks along with him. So that is important. For me, I think it's the fitness of Matt Hummels at the back is very important, although I know we are talking about key players, but that I think is a key situation, because he needs to be fully fit to man that back and make sure that they're in line, and making sure that they deal with Kylian Mbappe and what he presents. So I think there are a lot of important pieces and jobs and situations that would, of course, kind of create the course for this game. And Dortmund almost has to tick all the 10 boxes, 10 out of 10, for them to get a proper result here. And I think that's a very, very big ask for the Germans.
Yeah, okay, Brent, we're going to leave it there. Of course, this match will be live on SportsMax 2 on Wednesday afternoon. And we look forward to reviewing the match on the SportsMax Zone on Wednesday as well. We go to break. We have the SportsMax Zone updates coming up, and the last half an hour of the show as well. Back in a moment.